Omkarams. At the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagavan, Sri Satya Sai Baba, it is my great privilege to introduce the speaker, Srimati Geetha Mohanram. Geetha Mohanram garu comes for more than 6 decades. Her grand uncle, Sri Sesagiri Rao garu, was Swami's personal attendant for more than 20 years. He was also the first priest at Prashanti Nilayam when it was built in 1950. He came to Swami in the year 1943. Her father, Dr. Padmanabhan, a renowned dental surgeon, was very dear to Swami and served him in various organizational capacities at Whitefield, Bangalore till 2008. Many of you might recognize him as the person who walked behind Swami during darshans in Whitefield. Geetha Mohanram garu's mother, Srimati Kamala Padmanabhan, was appointed by Swami to be the Satyasai Education Coordinator for Karnataka, which she served with distinction for 25 years. She was specially chosen by Swami to be part of the original group that developed the first Balvikas curriculum under the direction of Bhagavan himself. Geetha Mohanram garu's family was one of the 9 families that started the first Akhanda Bhajan in 1945 under Swami's direct guidance. They conducted this for 25 years until Swami declared it into a global event. Geetha Mohanram garu was named by Swami. She has had the incredible fortune of enjoying and experiencing the multifaceted personality of our Divine Lord from birth. While Swami graced their home in Bangalore with his presence regularly, all her holidays and festivals were spent in the divine presence in Puttaparthi. At the tender age of 15, Geetha Mohan Ram Garu was selected by Swami to be an SSE teacher and in addition delivered lectures under the EHV Education in Human Values program to high school teachers throughout the state of Karnataka. In 1978, her marriage to Mohan Ram was performed in the divine presence of Swami at Whitefield. Their twin sons, Varun and Arun, were born in 1981 and named by Swami. 7 years later, Swami directed the family to go to USA and they settled in Maryland, Washington, D.C., where Mohan worked in NASA satellite operations. Geetha Mohan Ram Garu taught kindergarten children in a private school for 17 years and was awarded the best teacher of the year for 5 years in a row. At Swami's command and with his blessings, Geetha Mohan Ram Garu has been sharing her most intimate and wonderful experiences of our beloved Lord in different parts of the world, including USA, UK, Canada, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, South Africa, Australia, Mauritius, and India for the past 20 years. In November 2005, on the occasion of Ladies' Day, during Swami's 80th birthday celebrations, she was chosen by Swami to address the distinguished gathering in his divine presence at Prashanti Nilayam. I now request the esteemed speaker, Srimati Geetha Mohanram Garu, to kindly address the devotees. Jai Sai Ram.
Mukam karoti vachalam, panghum langhayate girim, yatkrupa tamaham vande paramananda madhavam. My humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Swami, offering them to our beloved Swami, saying Sai Ram to all of you, brothers and sisters and elders and children in Hyderabad, India, Sairam to all of you. Wishing you all a very auspicious and a happy Navaratri that is going on right now. And also wishing you all a wonderful Avatar Declaration Day coming up on the 20th. I think today my talk that Swami has somehow organized through all of you, he has done it during two very auspicious days that are there. Now it is Navaratri and coming up is Swami's Avatar Declaration Day. So I would really like to thank all of you, the organizers, Brother Somasundaram, Brother Anant, and Sai Srinivas, and all of you who have tried to organize this and managed all the technical work here. And also, thank you very much, brother, for the kind introduction that you just gave me. It is indeed my honor today to be speaking to all of you. I have been to Hyderabad and spoken in Shivam a couple of years ago, and I have wonderful cherished memories of my time there, the couple of days that I spent there. So I really do want to thank you for organizing this virtual satsang. It is so wonderful that we are using this technology for this kind of these kind of satsangs, which are sattvic, which are filled with love and devotion for Swami, and using our time in a very useful way with the technology. Swami has many times called it technology because we misuse it many times. But I think now with the COVID virus everywhere, all of us who call say we are Sai devotees have been using this very well. So thank you for having me online today with all of you. I was thinking as to what Swami would make me say today, and I was thinking about the Navaratri celebrations that we are having. And yesterday, I was actually speaking to the SSC parents here in Maryland. I belong to the South Bethesda Center, and we have a wonderful group of teachers there. And they had a parenting workshop yesterday, and they had asked me to speak about parenting that I may have received, parenting advice that I may have received from Swami in my interaction with him, and wanted me to speak to the parents in our center. And I was thinking, what an appropriate thing to start off today's talk also, thinking about what Swami said about Navaratri many years ago when he named my two sons, Varun and Arun. So when my sons were born, we were in India, and I have twin sons who are grown up now and have children of their own. But at that time, when they were born, we were in India. And Swami had asked us to come in the third month after they are born. Literally, the third month started, he had asked us to come there to do their Namakarna. So when we went on, I think it was November 16th, just a month had passed since the Navaratri celebrations in Puttaparthi. And we went on November 16th, I think 1981, when my sons were born. And Swami called us very lovingly for an interview. And in that interview, he named my sons Varun and Arun. And in that beautiful interview that he gave, he talked about many things. What is parenting? What does this mean? And in the course of that, he said, just now we have completed the Navaratri celebrations here in Puttaparthi. And he said, we all worship the mother, the divine mother, for various things. We ask Saraswati for knowledge. We ask Lakshmi for wealth to get along in this worldly life. And we pray to Durga, Lakshmi, and Saraswati during this time. But what is it that we really should ask this divine mother, this embodiment of love? And as he started to talk about it, he gave a beautiful explanation for Navaratri. He said that when you ask Mother Saraswati, you must ask her for spiritual knowledge, because you have been born in this human life. Jantunam Narajanma Durlabha. He says this human body is given as a gift. So no other animal has the ability to discriminate between right and wrong. So, having been born as a human being, your destination is to reach the divine feet. So, ask for spiritual knowledge. And when you have the spiritual knowledge, worldly knowledge, to live in this world will automatically come. The second thing he said, we ask Mother Lakshmi for all the wealth in this world. We do special prayers on Varalakshmi Day. We do, and we ask for good jobs, good salaries, good things to live in this world. But he said, you must really ask her for the wealth of spirituality, which contains love and devotion, all this wealth of spirituality. And once you have that, and you have the divine love, then you have the worldly wealth. Automatically it will come. And of course, when you pray to Mother Durga, he said, you have to ask her to destroy all of the bad qualities within you. What are all these bad qualities? We all know we have the Shedripus, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, all of these 6 enemies we have. We have attachment. We have all these things. We must pray to her to remove all these bad qualities within us so that we become nearer and dearer to God. So he had given this beautiful explanation for Navaratri. And as we were talking, as I was thinking about it today, I also remembered that, of course, October 20th coming is also Avatar Declaration Day. And I was thinking how fortunate we are to have seen this beautiful avatar, this Lord of ours. So many of people in the world don't know anything about him. They have not heard him, they have not seen him. But we have all been very fortunate to see this divine master who has walked with us, talked with us, given hundreds of discourses, shown love in so many ways in the form of all the seva activities, not only what the Sai Samitis and centers do, but he himself in the form of the beautiful super specialty hospitals, the water projects, all of these things that he has set as an example for us so that we may lead a proper life having come into this world and make it really useful having been born. So as I was thinking about that, I was thinking, what are all the divine qualities of Swami that we love so much? Of course, people give various qualities. Of course, the qualities that are given to divinity or an avatar Purusha, avatar who comes down, is control of the 5 karmendriyas, the organs of action, the 5 panchendriyas, the organs of the my thought, word, and hearing, the jnanendriyas, the organs that give us knowledge, and of course the panchabhutas, the 5 elements, earth, fire, water, air, space, all these things, control over all these things, but most importantly, control to be able to be omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. Swami says, they say that the avatar has these qualities, of which the 16th quality, apart from the 5, 10, 15 that I told you, Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, and the Panchabhutas, the 16th quality is one of the most powerful qualities that an avatar has. And as I was thinking of it, I was also thinking, how have I experienced these qualities of Swami? Of course, according to our scriptures, they also give 16 kalas. They say the 16 qualities, of which daya, which is compassion, patience, nyaya, justice. These are all the 16 kalas that a Purna avatar is supposed to have. We have all seen the beautiful, compassionate nature of our Sai, that we have seen. I have seen it since my birth. The capacity to love without any conditions, that love of 1,000 mothers, as Swami says. We have seen that. We have seen his ability to bestow wealth, which is one of the qualities of an avatar. Bestowing of wealth is not only this worldly wealth, but also the wealth of knowledge, like I was talking in the beginning. So as I was thinking, the most important quality, if one could call it that I have experienced personally, especially after coming here to the US and having grown up in his vicinity since childhood, are these three qualities of omnipresence, omnipotence, and omniscience. So I was thinking of various incidents in my life, and I thought today I would talk about that a little bit, because we have had the good fortune to have seen this beautiful avatar of Swami's. You are all very fortunate, especially the devotees living who are from Andhra and Telangana. You are able to understand his language very beautifully in Telugu when he speaks. I too can understand and speak Telugu, but my Telugu is very much mixed up in Kannada because I am from Bangalore. But you're all very fortunate to have heard that Divya Vani, the divine words in Telugu, in the original language without any translation. So you have all heard. So one of the incidents that today I was thinking of this morning while I was getting ready is that of all powerfulness, omnipotence, or the ability to have control and power over all things, especially the Panchabhutas, the water, the fire, the air, everything. And I was thinking about it, and I have several experiences, but the one that is coming to my mind today is when we moved here to the US. Swami asked us to move here when my sons were about 5, 6 years old. And when we came here to the US, I was very sad because I had never left Swami's physical presence in my life. I had always been in Bangalore. Swami used to spend a lot of time in Bangalore. And when he told our family to move here to the US, I was very, very dejected about the whole thing. I always felt that we must have done something wrong, that he is sending us away. But Swami repeatedly assured me that no, you must go. And he gave me a beautiful, beautiful blessing, I must say, when I was leaving for the US. He was in Vrindavan at that time. And he had told me that I will be here till the day you leave, and the following day I will leave for Patti to go for Guru Purnima, he had said. And he had called me for an interview on June 9th of 1988. And when I was crying and I was saying I don't want to go, and he very sweetly told me, why do you think that I'm far away? I'm always with you. Wherever you are, I'm with you. I'm behind you, besides you. You have all heard him say, Intane, Kantane, Gentane, Vintane, Yappudu untunnanu. He says all that. He told me the same thing that day. He said, you go, I will come with you. But you have to also grow up. You cannot always be a first standard child, first grade child, always holding the mother. Then the mother will become very worried. Why is my child not developing? Why is my child not growing? So from first standard, you have to go to second grade to third grade. You have to grow. In the same way, even with Swami, as you see Swami, as you have understood Swami's message, you must also learn to practice. And when you go out away from this physical form, you will have the opportunity to practice some of the things that you have heard all your life. He said, don't worry, I have the love of 1,000 mothers. Is it not? I will always be with you. I will come with you. I will stay with you in the plane. I will go through the immigration with you. I will be with you. You don't have to worry. And he gave me a very nice example. He said that, when the mother is cooking in the kitchen and she has a small child and the child is playing in the house, the mother hears the sounds and she continues to cook without worrying, because she knows the child is safe inside the house. The same mother, when she goes out into the market, she will hold that child's hand very tightly because she is afraid that the child may get lost. So she will hold the hand of the child very tightly, make sure the child is beside her, and take care of her, take care of that child. The same mother, when you're outside, will be very, very cognizant of the fact that you're in a different place and the child's hand has to be held. So in the same way, when you go away to America, just like a mother who is not in the kitchen anymore, I will hold your hand even more tightly than when you are here in Bangalore, when you come and see me every day. So with a lot of assurances, and as promised, he came with me, and he came here as I landed here in the US. A very, um, uh, what should I say, a memorable incident happened to me, a memorable experience. What had happened that day when Swami gave me the interview, I had been packing in the house to leave for US, and my father, who was in the house, was quite a strict disciplinarian, said, "Why is your suitcase becoming so heavy? You're traveling with small children. You will not be able to lift the suitcase from the conveyor belt when it comes out in the airport. Why are you packing so many things as though you are going somewhere where nothing is available?" But when I was coming in those days, 30 years ago, here in the US, so many things were not available, unlike now. So, a lot of the relatives had given rasam powder, sambar powder, all sorts of things for their children. So, I was packing that plus my own things. So, my suitcases were becoming heavier and heavier. And my father kept on scolding me a little bit. You're making your suitcase very heavy. And on the way to Brindavan for this interview, my father told me. So finally, I got a little annoyed and I said, I can't do anything about it. I am packing because so many relatives have given. I cannot say no to them because their children are there in the US. And plus, I have going for the first time, I have my own things. So my suitcase is becoming heavy. What can I do about it? So I was a little irritated. When we arrived in Brindavan and Swami gave all this beautiful interview, at the end of the interview, he said, "What? Padmanabh is scolding you that your suitcase is very heavy." He said, "So here again, omnipotent, omniscience, omnipresence. He is there with us in every moment of our life." So he said, "Padmanabh is scolding you at home for the suitcase." So my father said, "Swami, her suitcase is very heavy, Swami. She goes on packing. I am telling her what you say. When you travel, you must travel less luggage, more comfort." But she's not listening, my father said. So Swami very sweetly patted my cheek and said, "No, no, don't worry, don't worry. You take whatever you want, Bangaru. If whatever you want, you take. You're going for the first time. Don't worry. I will help you with the suitcase if it becomes heavy," he said. So we all smiled. We took our Padnamskar. Swami finished the interview and blessed me and said, "You go, don't worry. I will come in the plane with you. I will be with you in the airport." He told all these things. See, our human mind, we listen to Swami, we say we are devotees, we say we have faith, but when the actual experience, something comes our way, we start vacillating. We don't have that firm faith. So, sure enough, with my 6-year-old sons, I arrived here in San Francisco, in California. My husband had already left. He had gone about 4 months or 3 months before us, as Swami had told him to. He had gotten a job and we were joining him. So when I arrived in San Francisco, my sons were young, they were all over the place, we were jet lagged. I had to go through immigration, and at that time, I'm sorry, at that time, the suitcases came out, and as I was trying to take the suitcase off of the carousel, sure enough, I could not lift it. In Bangalore, there were porters who had helped me put, but in California, there was nobody there. I had to lift it. My 2 young sons were all over the place. They were running around. I had to take the suitcase. And as I tried to pull that suitcase, I was thinking, oh, what my father said was right. I'm finding it very difficult now. And as I was doing that, one gentleman in the airport helped me take the suitcase, and he put it down, 2 or 3 suitcases, whatever I had. He put it on the ground. His suitcase came, he went away. Now the next problem was I had a cart. I have to take the suitcase and put it on the cart. Again, I was struggling to pick up the suitcase and put it in the car. When someone else came and helped me, and I put it. As I was trying to push the car to go towards immigration, suddenly I heard my name on the PA system. Greta Ram, Greta, they were saying for Geetha, they were calling me Greta. So in the beginning, I didn't realize, but that Ram, I thought maybe me. So I went over to the airline counter that was there, and I said, did somebody call me? And they asked me, are you traveling from Bangalore with 2 children? I said, yes. And they said, oh, here is this man to help you, they said. So I looked, and it was a tall African-American gentleman. To this day, I regret that I did not see the name on his name tag. I didn't observe. They said, he's here to help. So I was so happy. He came and helped me put the suitcases properly in the cart. And he himself started to push. I was a new entry into the US. I didn't know. I didn't ask myself, how did a porter come here? Who called my name? I thought that my husband, who was waiting outside, must have asked somebody to help me because I was coming to children. I was very happy that my husband had been so thoughtful. So we went through the immigration, and even when we were going through immigration, he was talking to me, this porter. Oh, are you coming for the first time? How long is it since you saw your husband? I told him it's been 4 months, and he said, oh, that is too bad. It's been a long time. And when we came to the immigration officer, he said to him, oh, let her through. She hasn't seen her husband for 4 months. So that gentleman looked at the papers and said, welcome to America. We came, and sure enough, I came outside. My husband was there, and this porter said, I will come back to help you, he said, and he went away. So I was very happy. When we came out, my husband, I said, thank you so much for sending this man to help me. It was very, very difficult. This porter helped me. So my husband said, oh, I didn't send anybody to help you. But anyway, let me bring the car. We can pay him after we load. Maybe he'll help us load the suitcases into the car. So this is how we are. If we get little help, we want more help. So he went and brought the car. This porter was not to be seen. We felt very bad that I had not paid him. He had just gone somewhere to help someone else. I thought we loaded the car. We looked everywhere. We couldn't find him. He sat in the car, and I was feeling very bad. We should have paid him. He helped me more than 1 hour. He was with me through immigrations, custom, with Arun and Varun. He was talking to them. And as we were talking, anyway, we felt bad we had not paid. And after that, I started to tell my husband about my last interview the day before in Vrindavan, how Swami had promised me that he would be with me, and how he would come with me in the plane. He will be with me in the airport. I started to narrate this whole incident to my husband. And I started to tell him, Swami said, don't worry, I'll help you with the suitcase, And as I said, it suddenly struck me that there had been somebody who had helped me, this tall African-American gentleman. I had forgotten to look at his name tag. Even then I said to my husband, oh, really? You see, Swami sent someone to help me. He told me, I will help you in the airport. You don't worry. You take whatever sambar powder you want to take, rasam powder you want to take. And he said, somebody to help me, I said. And we came home to my brother-in-law's home, where we were going to be there for a few days and then go to the East Coast. And I arrived there home, and I wanted to call my parents and my in-laws to tell them I had arrived safely. And when I called my parents, I said to my parents, my father, Daddy, please tell Swami, I said, thank you for sending me some help in the airport. And my father said, yes, actually, Swami, today in Vrindavan, he said to me when he came down, Padmana, what did Geetha take in her suitcase? Her suitcase was so heavy. Even for me to put it on the cart, it was quite heavy. What did she take in her suitcase? Swami had asked my father. So my father said, see, I told you, less luggage, more comfort. You have given. I felt so bad. I had troubled my beloved Swami to pick my suitcase and put it in the cart and push it without even realizing the truth. One of the qualities, one of the 16 kalas of an avatar is Satya. So one who speaks the truth. When he said that I will come with you, be with you in the airport, in the flight, everywhere I will be with you. He was speaking the truth. It was my pendulum mind that had not understood the import of that. So that is the Lord that He is, that omnipotent Lord who could be in two places at the same time. That is also one of the kalas. He can be in two places at the same time. This wonderful Swami had come there to lift that suitcase to help me, because I was crying so much about leaving him, to prove to me, don't worry, I'm with you wherever you are. This message is not only for me, for everyone. So when I started this talk, I started to talk about his ability, his power over all the elements. And from there, I detoured into my trip to the US, my first trip to the US. But when we bought our house here in the US, the first time we in the same house we are living, Swami named it Sai Nivas. So when we bought this house, we had just moved. We did a bhajan in the house before we moved in after buying the house. And we had just moved into the house. It had been 2 or 3 days. And we were still unpacking the house. There were boxes everywhere, all the cardboard boxes which we had brought, they were everywhere. I had just opened some of the things in the kitchen to be able to cook. This was about 3 or 4 years after we came here. And I had finished cooking. It was in the summer, and it was summer holidays for my sons. And they were also doing something, and I was in the kitchen. I finished cooking, and I wanted to put some of the things in the cabinet above the stove. So I was unpacking. And as I was unpacking, there were some plastic bowls that I had packed. And I had just finished the cooking. I had turned off the stove and everything. But without realizing, and because I was standing on a stool to put the stuff above the stove into the cabinet, I put one of the plastic bowls on the stove because I couldn't reach the cabinet. I was standing on a step stool. And as I was putting, suddenly this plastic bowl caught fire. The flames were so high, I just got down and they were so high, and immediately the phone was nearby. I called 911, the emergency number, and I told them that my stove has caught fire. And they said, get out of the house. Do you have children with you? I said, I have 2 young children. They said, get out of the house, get out of the house. My children were 9 years, I think, at that time, 9 or 10. Get out of the house. But the flames were still burning. And I was so taken aback. I put the phone down. I called out to my boys, come. They were somewhere in the other room. And I just stood in front of the stove and I started to say, Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram loudly. And the children came. I grabbed their hands and I came out. The whole thing must have taken about 2 minutes. By that time, the police and the fire engines and everything came in front of the house. But as I started to say, Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram, the fire which had reached almost up to the cabinet in our new house just started to come down, and the whole fire went out even before I had grabbed the children and gone out of the house. The fire trucks came and the firemen came and they said, and I said, I think we can go inside. There is no fire now. They said, no, you stay. We want to go inside and see what happened. I told them I put a plastic bowl on a hot stove, even though it was hot, even though it was off. Since it was hot, the plastic had caught fire. They said, no, you wait. And they went inside. They checked everything. And they went around the house to make sure everything was okay. And then they asked me to come inside. And inside that little drain in the coil, in those days we used to have the stove with the electric coil, all the plastic had melted. It was still there. So the fireman called and asked me and said, how did you put out the fire? How to answer an American fireman about the power of the name of Sai Ram? I said, I don't know, the fire went off. I said, I don't know. I said, the fire went off. So he said, how did it go off? Because all the plastic is still here in the drain. And they could see that it had caught fire. It was black, but there was still a lot of plastic melted in there. How did it go off on its own? Did you pour water? Because you should not be doing that over plastic. I said, no, I didn't pour any water. Then he said, did you use a fire extinguisher? I said, no, I don't have a fire extinguisher. So the two firemen looked at each other. They did not understand. They said, whatever, I think it's some, and jokingly they said, I think it's some miracle. It just went off, you say. I said, yes, it just went off. They asked my sons. They said, it went off. They said. And they said, my mother started to shout and it went off. They didn't know what I had shouted. They were upstairs. My mother shouted and it went off. So they both laughed. They said, please be careful next time. Keep a fire extinguisher inside the kitchen, small fire extinguisher to be safe. Don't ever pour water on burning plastic, they said. Anyway, take care of yourself, they said. And they walked out of us, all within 5 or 10 minutes. It took me forever to clean that plastic. But my Sairam had stopped the fire. This is the control over the Panchabhutas, which is one of the qualities of the avatar, was all powerful. So the fire went off. Almost 4 years later, I went to Parthi. Swami had told me, don't come for 4 years. So I had to wait eagerly to go. So we went after 4 years to Parthi, and he had called us for, and this is actually the first 4 years we didn't go. Second 4 years we went. Swami had said, come back after 4 years. So in the first 8 years, we only made 2 trips to India because of what Swami had said. And when we were in the interview room that time, he looked at me, Sairam, yetta jorga kusna, how loudly you caught. And then when the fireman asked you, how did you put out the fire? You said, I don't know. I don't know. But you know, you were calling out to me, Sairam, Sairam. But you said, I don't know. You see, he caught me not telling the truth also. Because I should have said, I called out God's name and the fire went out. But I didn't have the courage to tell that to the fireman. I said, I don't know, it went out. But I knew. So Swami said, I don't know. You called out my name, your fire went out. So this is this beautiful Swami that all of us have experienced in different ways. I'm sure if I ask you also that how did you all come to Swami, then you will all be able to tell me many different experiences in different ways that you have experienced his omniscience, his omnipotence, and his omnipresence. In these incidents that I'm telling you, all the 3 qualities I am telling you, how wonderful that we have experienced. And I was very, very fortunate because consistently throughout my life, that has been the thread of my life, that he has constantly showed me that his presence is there. We may feel we are far away in a different country. We may now feel that Swami's physical form is not there. He has gone away. Where is he? We may feel. But when our prayer for that one moment is intense, we can certainly feel his presence. One of the other qualities again that our 16 kalas that I was reading the other day, the 16 qualities as an avatar is the ability to be in 2 places. I already told you the porter who showed up, whose name I didn't read. One more beautiful incident happened to me. This is after Swami's physical form left this earth. So many times when I give talks, people always ask me, do you feel Swami's presence after his physical form? And I always say, how does it matter if his physical form has left or it was there? Even when his form was there, he was in Prashanti Nilayam 10,000 miles away, and I could feel his presence here in the United States of America, in Maryland, in Laurel, where I live. Isn't it the same power? So at that time also the physical form was there in Prashanti Nilayam, and I felt his power here. It is the same thing. Now his physical form, we cannot see it, that's all. Because Swami has left so that we can see him in everyone around us. That is what I try to tell to the people who, when they ask me that. But this particular incident happened to me after Swami's physical form had left this earth. This was in 2013. I had gone to give a talk in Chicago in the winter. They had asked me to speak for New Year's Day there. So I had gone there, and it was a one-day visit. I had gone on a Saturday. Sunday was the talk, and I was to come back on Monday. I was staying with some very nice people who were my hosts, their Sai devotees. And they asked me, both husband and wife worked. So they said, is it okay if we leave you a little bit early to the airport on Monday morning? Because we have both have meetings that day early in the morning. My flight was about 11 o'clock, I'm thinking 11 o'clock or so. And we will drop you there by 8:15 if that is okay with you. I said, oh, no problem. I will just have a cup of coffee and just be in the airport. It doesn't matter, an hour early, it won't matter. So I went to the airport, they dropped me off. They said that they had to go to work. They both had meetings. They went away. They dropped me and went. So I was sitting, went through all that security check, and I was waiting at the gate. Everything was fine. It was a very cold winter day in Chicago. It had snowed and everything. But all the flights were on time. And then suddenly, I saw on the monitor that my flight to Baltimore, where I was landing, was cancelled. So suddenly there was a lot of people near the counter again to ask what had happened. And all the flights coming to Baltimore, we could see on the monitor, was getting cancelled. And when we went and asked, and they made the announcement that the weather in Baltimore actually was not good. And the flights were being cancelled because of that reason. So we all talked, we asked for different flights, and nothing was available to come back. So now I came back. This was still about 10 o'clock in the morning. The flight was at 11:30. So I called my husband and I told him what happened. So he said, try calling the devotees and maybe you go back and stay there tonight if there are no flights in their house. So I tried calling my host many times, but they were both not picking up the phone because they were in some meetings, I think. They were not picking up the flight. And as I was trying like this, my good friends here in Maryland, Ramya and Govind, they were in New York. And they just happened to call me because they knew that I would probably be just sitting in the airport. They knew I had my flight. They're very close friends of mine. So they called and said, what are you doing? And I said, oh, my flights are all cancelled. I'm trying to reach the host. I have to go back and stay there in the night, I think, but they are not picking up. And my husband, Mohanram, is saying, if they don't pick up, then just go to the hotel nearby by taxi and stay there. So all this conversation, I told them. And Govind, her husband, said, oh, we are driving from New York to Maryland. So why don't you see if there are any flights to Philadelphia? And we will pick you up there on the way and drive you home. If there are flights to Philadelphia, if all the flights to DC or Baltimore is cancelled. So again, I went back to the counter and I said, are there any flights going to Philadelphia? So that lady looked a little surprised. She said, I thought you were traveling to BWI, which is Baltimore, Washington International. I said, yes, but some friends will pick me up. And in fact, they were still holding the phone so that they could hear my conversation. And she said, oh, there is a flight to Philadelphia. In 15 minutes, the gate will close. You have to go to gate 23. From here, it's quite far. But if you run, you may try to make it. She said she changed my boarding pass. And I told them on the phone, I will call you again if I make it. I think I'm going to make it. I'll try in Chicago airport. I'm sure many of you have traveled. It's a very big airport. And with my small suitcase, which I had taken an overnight bag, I started to run towards gate 23. Now, in the meanwhile, what had happened was when I had been going through security check before in the morning, I had given my suitcase through the security check, and they asked me to come to the side, and they opened my bag at that time. And when this lady, this TSA lady, had opened my suitcase to see, this was in the morning at 8 o'clock, she had seen Swami's photo inside. I had kept it inside that netted pocket. And she saw that this was an African American lady. She saw Swami's picture and she said, "Oh, good looking boyfriend," she said. So I said, "Yes, isn't he?" I said, how to explain Swami and his curly hair to this lady? So I said, "Yes." So she said, "Oh, good. Enjoy your trip." She closed my suitcase. I had gone through TSA. I now picked up my suitcase and I was running to this gate 23 to where it had been changed to Philadelphia. When I got there, almost it looked as though the door had closed and there was two ladies standing at the counter, and I ran and I said, "I have a boarding pass to go to Philadelphia. Have you already closed the flight?" And the same TSA lady was standing there, and this lady said, "Oh, you're exactly in time. One more second and we would have closed the door. But just now, a Southwest Airlines gentleman, he came and said, 'Just wait for one more minute. There is a lady coming.'" I said, "Oh, really? Some Southwest person told you?" "Yes, some man called Sai Baba," she said. Sai Baba came and said that there is one more lady coming for 1 minute wait. So I was so taken aback. I said, "What?" She could not pronounce Swami's name. Sai Baba, she said. And this TSA lady was standing. She said, "Oh, who's that? You seem to have uh, friends all over the place." So I said, "Yes, remember that boyfriend you saw?" She said, "Yes." I said, "It's the same boyfriend." "Oh, you have an influential boyfriend," she said. I said, "Yes." And entered the aircraft. Within those 30 seconds, this conversation happened. Arrived in Philadelphia, where my good friends were waiting at the airport with nice lunch for me, and I traveled back home with them. So this Swami, this was in 2013. So you can imagine, we keep on asking, where is Swami? Is he there? Does he hear? These questions come to all our minds, and we forget that he is an avatar. He's not somebody that he just says something and forgets about it. He says what he means. He's truth itself, and he keeps his word, unlike us. We tell somebody we will give you something. I know many times it has happened to me. People have asked me, "Can you give a cassette?" In the old days, when nothing was uploaded on YouTube, they'll say, "Can you give a cassette of your talk?" I will say yes, and I will forget about it for months together. Again, they will say, when they see me in the Sai Center, "Geetha, you said you will give a cassette of your talk here or there. Can you give?" Again, I'll say, I'll forget to make a copy. So we people are the ones who forget our promises, but not Swami. He always remembers whatever promise that he gives, and he is with us. So he consistently tells us in every discourse that I am with you, behind you, besides you. Don't forget that. But he's showing us so much of love, so much of, he has bestowed all this wealth. He is the Mother Lakshmi, bestowed us with so many of these worldly goods. But we are the ones, we go to the Sai centers and we do our bhajans, but we don't keep our promise to him that we will try to follow his message. That is the thing that we all have to learn, I think. The other thing, one of the qualities again of this avatar is that of love and compassion. So much of love he has bestowed on everyone. We have seen during Navaratri and Swami's birthday how much of Narayan Seva, how many people he has given auto rickshaws, he has given so many things so that they can earn their livelihood. But he hasn't stopped only with people, even for the animals around him. We have all seen Sai Geetha waiting there in Puttaparthi, waiting to garland Swami during the festival times. I don't know how many of you have seen Sai Geetha as a small baby elephant. When we were all young, Sai Geetha was brought to Swami when we were very young in the 60s, I think it was. Sai Geetha was brought to Swami. She had lost her mother, I think, and she was found in the forest, Vandipur forest, and she was brought and given to Swami. And from the time that she came to Swami, Sai Geetha, the elephant, from the time she came, there was such a beautiful bond between Swami and this elephant. It was like Swami became Sai Geetha's mother. In fact, Swami named me Geetha, and many times he used to tease me. I have named Sai Geetha after you, not you after Sai Geetha. Don't become like Sai Geetha, so big, like an elephant. He used to tease me many times. So the Sai Geetha came to Swami, and as children, we used to love the elephant. That elephant would be taken. There used to be a mahout called Murli. He used to take this elephant to the Chitravati river in the early hours of the morning. She would be given a nice bath. The biggest problem was after taking a bath in the Chitravati, she will again take the sand and put it all over herself. So he had to make sure that she didn't do that, because he has to bring Sai Geetha back for morning darshan, for Swami's darshan. So we used to follow the Sai Geetha everywhere. After Swami had given darshan in the old days in Prashanti Nilayam, wherever that elephant, we used to go there, try to feed the elephant, go with the elephant to Chitravati to see it taking a bath. He used to put all the vibhuti, namam, and we used to enjoy this elephant a lot. Very sweet and gentle elephant. And that elephant was such a great devotee. If we can even learn a little bit from that Sai Geetha, I think Swami will also respond to us the way he used to respond to that Sai Geetha. Whenever Sai Geetha was brought for the darshan in the morning and in the afternoon, in the old days, she used to stand near that Vedam circle. If you have seen old photographs of Prashanti Nilayam, you will see a circle right in front of the mandir. Now, in fact, all the Veda people sit there only, where there used to be a circle. In the old days, during Navratri and other festivals, the Veda people used to sit inside the circle and chant the Vedas. If you look at the old pictures of Prashanti Nilayam, you can see there's a circle, quite a big circle, and Sai Geetha would stand beside it. And we would all sit there on the sand, waiting for Swami to come out of Prashanti Nilayam Mandir. And this is what Swami says, that we must constantly be alert to the divinity around us. That is the problem. We are not alert. That is why we don't feel his presence. So the Sai Geetha was not like that. We would all sit in those days. There was no Vedam chanting and all on the regular days. We would just wait very, very quietly for Swami to come down from Prashanti Nilayam. And he would come down and come outside and pick a few people for interview and take them in. And then after that, a little bit later, the bhajans would start. Sometimes when the interview is going on itself, the bhajans would start. So we would all be sitting. In the later years, many of you would have seen that as soon as Swami was seen at a distance, the Vedam would start and everybody in the crowd would know that Swami has come out by the Vedam, starting of the Vedam. But in those days, it was not like that. Swami would just come out when everything was quiet. But the way we people would find out that Swami is about to come out was, we would constantly watch this elephant. First of all, as children, we love to see the elephant, watch the trunk going back and forth, watch the ears flapping, and she would stand very still, young elephant. And there would be no sound. Everybody would be sitting very quietly. We would be sitting from almost 7 or 7:15 in the morning. Swami used to come only out 8:15, 8:30. He used to come out. But we would be waiting, because sometimes Swami would come early. And suddenly, the Sai Geetha's ears would straighten into a big, like a fan on both sides. It would just straighten out. And immediately we would all poke each other, my cousins and I, kids. Hey, Swami is coming, Swami is coming, Swami is coming. And people who were new would say, how do you know? How do you know? And we'll say, what Sai Geetha? What Sai Geetha? They will look at Sai Geetha and say, how do you know? How do you know? But actually what would happen was, Sai Geetha's ears would be just flopping. But her sixth sense, her alert to her divine master, her divine mother. When Swami came down from his bedroom from upstairs to downstairs to the interview room, I don't know how she could feel that immediately, like a sixth or seventh or eighth sense, I don't know. Her ears would straighten up and her trunk would straighten out, ready to go into a salute when Swami comes out of the room. And within few seconds of her ears straightening, the door of the interview room would open and our beautiful Swami would come out. Of course, one of the qualities of the Divine Lord, they say, is beauty. And we, all of us who have seen Swami, we know everybody's head, whoever is sitting there, their head will turn towards that beautiful orange robe and that glorious hair. That is the beauty of the Lord. Without our knowledge, we turn towards Him. Like that, the Sai Geetha, as soon as that orange speck over there coming out of the interview room, it would immediately raise her, she would raise her trunk into a nice salute, and Swami would come and give darshan and come and pat her and talk to her, feed her with rice balls or apples or something like that, and then call for interview and go inside, sometimes before, sometimes after. So one particular incident of Sai Geeta's Sarvabhuta Daya, we say that Lord has daya and compassion towards all living beings, towards all living beings. And of that example, I have seen a few, and one of them is the Sai Geetha. Swami used to come and stay in our house, as brother read in the introduction. I was very fortunate to be born into a family who came to Swami in 1943. My granduncle Sheshagiri Rao garu, this is my own grandfather's elder brother. He came to Swami in 1943, and his children and my uncles and aunts together started the Akhanda Bhajan in 1944-45. And it was a family celebration for many years. For 25 years, it was celebrated as our family celebration. And Swami would come and stay in the beginning years with my aunts, in the later years in our house, in my father's house. Swami used to come and stay. We used to do Akhanda Bhajan from Thursday morning, 10:30 after Rahu Kalam, till Friday morning. Then it would end with Abhishekam and Mangalarti to Swami. So at that time, some years Swami would come on Wednesday itself and stay, but most of the years come on Thursday, stay with us Friday. And if the aunts and everybody said, Swami, you cannot leave on a Friday, he would go on a Saturday. So he would stay with us for a few years, a few days in those early years. And till 1974, it was a family function. In 1975, Swami declared it to be a global Akhanda Bhajan. And from then onwards, it was celebrated as global Akhanda Bhajan throughout the world by all Sai Samitis and centers throughout the world in the second week of November. But till such time, till 1974, it used to be our family function. All the people used to attend in the various halls. I won't go into another talk about Akhanda Bhajans because that itself will take quite a bit of time. But on this one particular Akhanda Bhajan, since I started with Sai Geetha, we were supposed to bring Swami to our house for the Akhanda Bhajan. And I was very fortunate. I was just the right age, I suppose. I was a small girl. Whenever my father went to Brindavan, whenever my father used to bring Swami to our house for dinner, he used to come very regularly to our house for dinner. I had the good fortune of traveling with Swami in the car. My brother, my father, and I, we would go there and we would bring Swami. Sometimes Swami, if my brother was driving the car, I would sit in the front with my brother, and my father would sit in the back seat with Swami, and we would bring him to our house. On this particular visit, we had gone to bring him for Akhanda Bhajan. My aunt was also there. And Swami was ready. He finished giving darshan in Brindavan and was about to get ready. The car was in the portico in the old building of Brindavan. And Sai Geetha was in the back. There used to be like a big shed there. And there used to be a rose garden. Behind that, there was a shed. And Sai Geetha was housed there. Again, like I said, this wonderful devotee, this elephant, was a great devotee of this Lord. I don't know how she used to sense that Swami is going away for 2 days from Vrindavan, that he would not be there for 2 days. She would not be able to see him for 2 days because Swami used to go there in the back and pat her and feed her every day, take a garland from her. Somehow she would know that Swami is going away. I don't know if many of you have seen, even when Swami went to Puttaparthi and Swami came to Bangalore, or when Swami left Bangalore and went to Puttaparthi, she would walk over 24 hours to reach Prashanti Nilayam. The Mahut used to go with her, walking all the way to Prashanti Nilayam or Prashanti Nilayam to Vrindavan. And when Swami's car is leaving, I remember even in Puttaparthi, when she was housed, when Swami's car is leaving, she would trumpet so loudly. You could know that she is crying because Swami is going away. She would stop eating because Swami was not there. So they would take her from Prashanti Nilayam to Vrindavan, Vrindavan to Prashanti, otherwise she will stop eating. So anyway, that day, somehow she sensed that Swami is going away for Akhanda Bhajan. And she started to trumpet loudly, loudly. We could not hear. Swami had finished darshan and he was getting ready to leave. It was 8 in the morning. Few people only were there because he has to come for the Akhanda Bhajan to start at 10:30 to light the lamp. At about 7:38 in the morning, we were all waiting for Swami. Swami was ready. And the trumpeting of the Sai Geetha started so loudly. Even when Swami is talking, nobody can hear what he's saying. Then Swami smilingly said, oh, this Sai Geetha chala allari chestundi. Nenu velutunnanu kada dani valla. You all understand Telugu. He said, this Sai Geetha is making a lot of noise because I'm leaving. Let me go and say goodbye to her. So Swami went. So we all followed Swami to the back. When we went there, this Sai Geetha is standing there and the Mahut said, Swami, she's not eating anything. She's just trumpeting without stopping. As soon as she saw Swami, she lifted her trunk. She came. She did her pranams with her trunk. She used to touch Swami's feet. And then Swami patted her and said, Geetha, I have to go now. And he's talking to her as though he's talking to any one of us. I have to go now. I'm going for Akhanda Bhajan. I will be back day after tomorrow. Now you be a good girl. Bangaruga undu. Baga bhojanam. Eat properly. All these things Swami is telling her. And that Sai Geetha is just standing very still. Then the Mahut brought some rice balls to feed her. Swami is trying to feed her like a small child who is throwing a tantrum with the mother. That Sai Geetha turns the head away. Swami says, Tinu Bangaru, eat. One more rice ball, turns away. Finally, Swami pats and says, no, you must eat. If you don't eat, I also won't eat. So immediately she ate 1 rice ball, 2 rice balls. Okay, now I have to go now. It will become late for Akhanda Bhajan. You be a good boy. I'll be back. Don't cry. I will be back. Don't trumpet and make too much noise here. And as Swami walks away, the Sai Geetha puts her trunk around Swami's shoulders and gently draws him to her side and will not let go. I, my dear brothers and sisters, can never forget the pleading, loving voice of Swami. Vidu Geetha, Bangar Kada, Vidu Geetha, please allow me to go. Let me go. Aren't you a good girl? Vidu Geetha, Vidu Geetha. He is pleading with his devotee to allow him to go. I have to go now. It will become late. I have to go. But she has put her trunk around him and holding to his side and not moving. Finally, after a lot of cajoling and pleading, please, I have to go. You are not the only devotee. So many devotees are waiting. They are all singing bhajans. I have to go. After pleading with her, I will be back. I promise. As soon as I am back, I will come and see you. She gently let him go, took her pada namaskaram, and finally allowed Swami to move away. But when Swami moved away, his whole robe had all the saliva from Sai Geetha's mouth because she had brought him so close to her body. Swami said, I have to go and change. I cannot come like this. And Swami went inside quickly, changed his robe and came. And we brought him to the Akhanda Bhajan. So this is Sarvabhuta Daya. This is the quality of this divine avatar. Like I said, we are going to celebrate Avatar Day on October 20th. We just celebrate it as a day when Swami declared, I am Satya Sai Baba, to his family, to his friends, so many, many years ago in Puttaparthi. But what does that really mean? We have to think of our good fortune that we have been able to see these qualities we see in so many avatars, and we have read about it. But we have all been very fortunate to have witnessed this avatar with all these divine qualities, whether it is beauty or whether it is compassion, truth, or control over the elements. All of these things we have seen. But having seen that, what is the use if we don't think of him at all times, especially when we think that he's not there with us? That is the time to pray even more that Swami, please remind me that you are there with us all times. That is what I think we have to. And with all of these incidents, having had the good fortune of having seen him, I think the biggest gratitude that we can show Swami is trying to practice at least one thing that we have heard from him. It is very difficult. I am also in the same boat as everyone. We are constantly forgetting to practice, but we have to constantly remind ourselves through Namasmarana. That is why Swami has created the Sai centers. He has said, if Namasmarana comes to you easily, then think of me through that and try to practice and cleanse purify yourself through Namasmarana. If Seva comes to you more easily, then do Seva and purify yourself through that. Or if you like to know more and more about me and you want to attend study circles and other things, know more about me, introspect about me, put it into practice. Swami says, any amount of knowledge. Once he told my children in the interview room, my two sons, once he's told them that what is the use of having all the knowledge if you don't practice it. In fact, he jokingly told my sons, your computer has all the memory, all the knowledge, everything, all your notes from school and college, everything is there in the computer, but it cannot make a decision. You have to make that decision. So if you don't practice all the knowledge in the computer is useless. So don't become like the computer. Put your knowledge into practice. So all the study circles we attend, all of these things we do, we have to try to put it into practice. That's what Swami says. Because when you try to do that, when you purify yourself, you become nearer and dearer to me, and then you can feel my presence in any way, in every way. Many years ago, when all my aunts, in the old days, there were no bhajans. My aunts and all say in the 40s and 50s, early 50s, there was no such thing as bhajans. They used to sing kritis or songs to Swami. Even Swami used to sing Tyagaraja kritis, Annamacharya's kritis. They used to sing to Swami, and that is how the Namasmarana started in the Pata Mandiram, in the old mandir, and in the early days when they became devotees in the 40s. Then later on, because it was very difficult for everybody to sing these songs, because not everybody knows music, Namavalis or bhajans as we know it now started, and everybody is able to participate. So when these bhajans started, now all over the world, we are all doing these bhajans. But in the old days, they used to sing beautiful songs in Telugu, in Kannada, and maybe I'm sure in Tamil as also. The early devotees used to sing beautiful songs. In fact, my aunt Sundaramma herself has composed many, many beautiful songs in Telugu and Kannada, and she herself was a very good singer. So all her children and my cousins, others used to sing to Swami. Many of her compositions and even compositions that Swami used to compose. This particular song, I used to like very much as a child, because I always used to think how fortunate we are. I am not very sure whether, Swami has composed, I think, or my aunts or one of the old devotees of those times. I am not very sure. But it is a beautiful song in Telugu. And since I am speaking to the Hyderabad devotees, maybe today Swami is giving me this thought, I will share this song with you before I end my talk. I'm not a very good singer, but the words are beautiful and you can listen to the words, and I'm sure you will appreciate our good fortune for having seen this beautiful avatar. So the song goes, Inni dinumala ninchi ninnu gurtinchaleni andakaramulo padina atmayela. I'll try to sing it because if I just say the words, I'll probably forget the words. Excuse my singing, please. My aunts used to sing when we were children, and I always used to listen to this song and think how fortunate we all are. Inni dinamula nunchi mimmu gurtinchaleka andakaramulo padina atmayela atmayela Jivatmayela. What is the use of this Jivatma who is filled with ignorance and has not and is living in all this ignorance? What is the use of living so many days living in this ignorance? This Jivatma which has not seen you. Inni dinamula ninchi ninnu mimmu gurtinchaleka andakaramulo padina atmayela Jivatmayela. Parti Satya Sai Anuchu Prarthana Seya Kunna Namasmarana Muleni Nalikela Nalikela Bhaktula Jolikela. What is the use of this tongue that does not do the namasmarana of this Lord? Parti Satya Sai Anuchu Namasmaranamu Leni Nalikela Bhaktula Jolikela. What is the use of this tongue? Whether some name of the Lord, if this tongue does not repeat, what is the use of this tongue? Shantulu Gunavantulaina Ashanti Galavaraina Prashanti Nilaya Murani Padamela Padamela Veru Vadamela. What are the use of these 2 feet that does not enter the place of worship, a church or a temple or Prashanti Nilayam? These feet that has not entered Prashanti Nilayam, what is the use of this feet? Why argue about other subjects? Tell me, what is the use of this feet? And then the final stanza. Ye janmamulo memu chesina puja phalamo ee janmamulo sai karunagalge karunagalge varamula padayugalge. I don't know in what janma, what good things we may have done, that in this janma we have got this wonderful bounty called Satya Sai in our life. So what good qualities that we may have developed, in what good punya we may have done in our past lives, that in this life we have received the blessings of this Satya Sai. So this is the song. I'm sorry, I'm not a very good singer, and maybe my Telugu pronunciation is a little bit wrong for all of you Telugu devotees, but this is how I remember listening to my in childhood. And so today I want to finish my talk by saying that ye janmamulo memu chesina puja phalamo, what pujas and the fruits of those pujas that we have done in this janma, ee janmamulo ee sai karuna galge, we have received his karuna, his compassion, his love, his blessings. So having received this bounty of blessings from him, we have to become worthy of calling ourselves his devotees, of saying that we have seen this Purna avatar in our life who had all these qualities, yet for our sake, he came down to this earth to show us how to lead our lives. So, having said these few words, having thanked Swami for coming down with his deep compassion and love for humanity to show us the way, thanking Swami for having given us this opportunity to have seen this avatar, and also asking Swami for his blessings during this Navaratri to worship the Divine Mother so that she may give us spiritual knowledge, spiritual wealth, while removing all of the bad qualities, these doubts, whatever we may have, attachments within us, praying that. I also thank the organizers in Hyderabad for giving me the opportunity to do Sai Namasmarana today with all of you on such a beautiful occasion. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram Ananth garu, any questions you got?
Yes, Saira. Yes, Saira. Saira, madam. Really,
Saira.
we are mesmerized when you're talking, madam. Actually, we are supposed to collect question and answers. We almost forgot about that one. We have just now I checked it, and something comes to our mind is being an electrical engineer. Any conductive element that comes in contact with the live current wire, you see, the current passes through. In the same way, we are like a conducting element, and you are having the current of Swami. And through your talk, that current passes through us also. We are really blessed, madam. Thanks for
Thank you.
your speech, kind
Thank
speech.
you.
And there is one question, madam. There is one question. This is from Sri C.H. Vittal garu in our district, one of our samitis. And his question is, how to stay connected to Swami in our daily activities?
Yes, and that's actually a very nice question. And it's a question that I think all of us get, including me, especially when I felt that I was coming so far away. One thing is the distance, of course, but we can be right there in Prashanti Nilayam and still not feel connected to him also. So Swami told me once that the way one can connect, he was giving an example that we were in the interview room and he said, see now, you are sitting here in front of me. You have no thoughts of what is going on outside, how many devotees are waiting. You are not thinking about anything. You are fully immersed in me, in what I am saying, in my words, where I am sitting. You are so focused on me. You have completely forgotten about who is sitting outside, how many devotees are waiting or whatever it is. So this moment where you are fully concentrated on me, that is what is called as bliss, Swami said. So that moment of bliss, if you learn to go on elongating it, making it longer and longer, and you feel it all the time, that's when you feel connected all the time. So of course, then the question is how to do that. So Swami gave the solution that he said that as much as possible, when we have to do our worldly work, as a mother, as a wife, I have to cook, I have to get ready, get everything ready in the house. We all have to do our work. So Swami is not saying, leave all the work and keep on thinking about me, not doing anything. So he's saying, while you are doing whatever work that you are doing, think of it that you are doing the work for Swami. We all go to do seva in Prashanti Nilayam. Supposing they give you the job of cleaning the mandir inside, our whole attention is focused on that work. So Swami says, when you are doing whatever worldly work, office you are doing, focus on that. But you say, this is Swami's work. Let me do it to the best of ability. That way you connect to me through the work. Then when you are doing something else, whether you are cooking, in fact, he told me once, when you are making chapati, when you are mixing the dough and you are making it, softening the chapati dough, then he said, say, Swami, soften my heart like this. like this chapati dough. Soften it with your namasmarana. So every work, you think of it like that. Then when you are making the chapati big and round, he said, widen the chapati, widen my heart, so that I include everybody in my heart, by just like I am rolling this chapati into a big circle. And then when you are cooking the chapati, he said, please, Swami, cook my heart with your wisdom and your message, so that I become a very nice and edible chapati, so that I become useful member to the society. Like that, whatever work you are doing, think of it as an improvement yourself. And then when you are not doing anything, of course, Swami says to always be immersed in reading about good people, study circles, books. We all know that Swami himself has created. So like that, in the moments that we are not doing physical work of any kind, then we have to attach our mind to good thoughts. And one of the very important things that Swami said is also to have good friends, satsanga, to have good company. When you have all of these things, slowly you will start elongating that bliss moment. You will start feeling Swami all the time. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sai Ram.
Simas.
Om Sri Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Pranams at the lotus feet of the unparalleled, unfathomable, divine power, love in human form, and the well-wisher of humanity, who has been in our abode, accompanying us hand in hand everywhere. Swami, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, we bow our heads on your lotus feet in reverence. Thanks for your grace that you spoke through Dr. Geetha Mohanram garu, which has enlightened us in so many ways to keep our relationship with you and have faith in you and attribute every happening to you. In the context of 95th birthday celebrations of Sri Satya Sai Seva organizations, Medchal Malkajgiri district in Hyderabad, Telangana area, has been conducted, of which we are fortunate, Madam, that we could listen to your talk. We have felt that whatever you have said, it was said by Swami directly to us. That sort of a feeling has been created by you because you have experienced the divine experience in the presence of Swami, and you were so kind that you have shared your experiences with us. Madam, on behalf of the President, Sri Mantha Somasundaram garu, his office bearers, and others of the Satya Sai Seva organizations, Medchal Malkajgiri district, and all the samitis, their members, the conveners, the devotees, and also the listeners of this particular program, I thank you that you have indirectly obtained Swami's grace for all of us through your experiences. As a matter of fact, what we could understand from you is that we have to start realizing that whatever little experience we have to attribute it to Swami and enjoy his presence in our heart. Some of the wonderful examples you have quoted about the suitcase incident where Swami has come to your rescue, or the fire incident, which is really something unimaginable, how the fire was doused but for Swami. And also the flight incident. Apart from that, you have given us the genesis of origin of global Akhand Bhajan. Thanks a lot to you for sharing all these experiences with us. Once again, I thank Swami for giving us an opportunity to listen to you. We have heard you earlier. I still remember the incident that you have told us about the Divine Mother's love towards you and your children about lactogen when you spoke in the Shivam. What a wonderful example. It should open our eyes and we should come closer to Swami, because Swami already said that there is nobody between you and me. Once we imagine that, definitely whatever faith we have grown in Swami will be furthermore increased after listening to you. We wish Swami gives us furthermore opportunities to listen to you and ensure that our faith we confirm. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much. And thanks to Swami for the grace he has showered on all of us through you. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
సార్ స్టార్ట్ చేయమంటారా సాయిరామ్? సార్ స్టార్ట్ చేయమంటారా శ్రీనివాస్?
స్టార్ట్ చేయండి రామకృష్ణ గారు. హారతి స్టార్ట్.
शांति शांति। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय। परमं पवित्रं बाबा विभूतिं परमं विचित्रं लीला विभूतिं परमार्थ इष्टार्थ मोक्षप्रदानं बाबा विभूतिम् इदमाश्रयामि। साई